looks like I'm excited for it. Do you have anything you want to see, though, specifically from these two players before we start?
I just want long macro games. That's all.
Okay.
Long macro games. That's where both of them excel. And we're going to
good.
see probably tons of huge battles. HasuObs loves to go into that carrier mothership. I said a carrier mothership.
Ooh. Maybe we get to see some of that in this series. But it looks like we're going to transition straight into the game here. Game number 1 on Ohana coming up. As we do see... Actually, no, we're in the game already.
Yeah,
cool.
What are you talking about? Frodan, you cray.
I'm crying.
That's something cray. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about it. Bottom right-hand position, we have MTW DIMAGA as the red Zerg. Sorry, guys. Top left-hand... I muted that for the interview. Top left-hand position, we have the blue Protoss. It is Mal CC HasuObs. Now, as I was saying, HasuObs has that very, very methodical, slow, meticulous macro style. Like that alliteration?
Yes.
He just waits until endgame, like when he has Colossus, High Templars, Archons,
Motherships, High Templars.
He's like, oh, okay, I guess it's time to actually attack now. Yeah, he has just the whole works of the Protoss arsenal, and that's why it's really interesting to see carriers of all units in the arsenal of HasuObs, but he makes them work, and we've seen some really successful games with them.
Yeah, and Hasu, unlike Noni, does end up going for a Forge Fast Expand like most other Protosses. Now, it's interesting because he went for Forge first, and he did end up scouting Pool without gas, and you were telling me how a lot of Protosses end up going Nexus first in that scenario, but Hasu going for the safer option.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's different trains of thought, especially with Ohana, how it's kind of big here. You don't want to commit too many buildings, and you also have to be careful because the destructible rocks can be taken out. You don't want to commit so much, so I think that's why he's just going for the Forge a little bit earlier. He doesn't want to be, making cannons all over the place, etc. We're going to see him go ahead and take a Nexus hereafter, and the more interesting thing to talk about is when he gets the 2 assimilators, if he does get the 2 assimilators, when he gets them and what he does with all the gas.
Yes, so a lot of people wonder what he can do. Sometimes with the first 100 gas, Protosses get a really fast +1 weapons and then pressure with Zealots a few minutes later, and that's what Liquid Hero really loves kind of doing, and pressuring Zerg that way, making sure to keep their third accountable. But again, Hasu, we'll have to see how he actually chooses to transition out of that. For now, the pylon does get cleaned up, which does mean DIMAGA will be able to secure that expansion. Now another pylon block here at the third, or what would be the third, and that's a very big thing as well, because again, getting that 3 bases really quick for Zerg is really important.
Yeah, the Stefano style has become probably the go-to build, where you get super fast 3 hatcheries. This third hatch actually comes at a really nice time, 4 minutes and 15 seconds. Yep. That's pretty standard for the Stefano style type of ZVP. DIMAGA will go unhindered. Now, he did have to give up, I think, a little bit of his hatchery time. I know the natural was slightly delayed, but other than that, he's looking really good. HasuObs, in the meantime, he's gone for the cybernetics core. Double gas has already been initiated, installed, and we'll see. +1, is it... Okay, here are the big things. When you're Zerg, you look for the +1 timing. That +1 is actually the indicator to tell you if you have to go Roach Warren early or not. If you don't see that +1 initiated super early, then you get the Evolution Chamber, prepare. It could be Spore, it could be Dark Templars, things like that. But if you see the +1 super early, prepare those roaches.
Well, the first 100 gas is still not that spent just yet here from Hasu. And so it looks like he might end up just getting a Sentry as well as the gateway, or the Warp Gate, and he does. So at that point, not a bad choice whatsoever. Hasu, again, we talk about being a little bit more defensive. Now, he's moving out with his first Zealot. Normally, sometimes Protosses like to use that Zealot to check the third as well, even force a little bit more Zerglings, because DIMAGA, he's cutting a lot of corners. 4 Zerglings, and he's just droning at this point. He's going to make 2 more here, because 1 did end up dying. But at the same time, DIMAGA, at this point, completely uninterrupted. It's finally starting speed up. But it's actually interesting because we're talking about Stefano style. They usually use the first 100 gas to get a fast layer.
Exactly.
And now he's actually going for speed instead. So give me your thoughts about DIMAGA's choice here.
I'm really not sure. I don't think speed is too applicable in this particular position. I like the layer first because it enables you just to get the burrow, get the glial reconstitution, different things like that. Not only that, it sets you up to get the overseer, or protects a lot against a lot of things. So go in the metabolic boost. What does it actually do for you? I'm going to say not that much in the beginning. Yes, it gets potential to get a scout in, but it's not even for sure. So I'm a little bit I'm a little bit bewildered by that choice, but still, DIMAGA, he probably has a reason for it. I'm interested to see how he plays this out.
60 drones is the count that Zerg usually wants to get to before they start pumping out. That way they can get all their minerals and gases saturated according that they need. As a result, Hasu, what is he going to choose to do? Some Protosses opt to go for fast thirds. Some Protosses opt for 2-base timing, but we were talking about how Hasu loves that, again, that passive turtling style. So it would not surprise me to see him try to see if he can get that fast third. Ohana, I mean, that third in Ohana in general, a little bit more exposed, but at the same time, it's still kind of tucked away to the point where you can kind of bounce between your natural and your third and defend both.
I'm very confused why HasuObs still hasn't gotten his +1 attack. This is really weird. I think he's going to go for the Nexus. Yes, the third looks to be coming up pretty soon. But still, I mean, even getting the +1 before this, I think it enables him to defend against a lot of different builds because Zerglings are significantly weaker. So I'm not sure why he waited so long for that. You know, if he does end up winning this, I would love to actually ask him about it.
Andre, DIMAGA actually has a Baneling that's starting +1/+1.
Oh my, holy guacamole.
Yeah, he's getting a lair finally, so there's a lot of options he could do.
There's a ton of Zerglings out in the field.
Yeah, there are 29 Zerglings, and keep in mind, he still has a pretty strong economy behind everything, so he can pump out for a long time, as we do see 20 more Zerglings right now on the production side. Now, Hasu, he's waiting for some pretty important upgrades, +1, most notably against Zerglings, and he's also getting Blink here, and his third is not really well defended whatsoever. If Zerglings found that out, he could force a cancel very fast.
It's interesting that HasuObs, rather DIMAGA, hasn't scouted out this third. That's like the #1 thing you do. The reason for these Zerglings are actually defensive. I thought that he was going to be a little bit aggressive, but I looked at the time and I was like, nope, I'm completely wrong. So these are defensive Zerglings. He's just being careful. It's a really interesting way to actually defend against everything. It's sort of the, if you do attack, I have the ability to just merge all these Banelings and just completely destroy you. But if you don't attack, I save up all my gas so I can use it for somewhere else.
Yes.
The big problem is the Zerglings and Banelings don't always connect. So you might be running into a little bit of trouble. You're really banking on your opponent attacking a little bit earlier. But for now, it's just sharking around with these Zerglings, and they're trying to find an opening. Yeah,
one thing that's really cool about Hasu is that with Hallucination, that Phoenix can basically be a very mobile form of observer, just constantly keep it on the unit. See if he's going to move out. He's moving in here, trying to see if he gets surround. Hasu lets a lot of Zerglings, but wow, great reinforcement force field. 2 sentries will get picked off, but that could have turned out much worse if he wasn't got by that ramp. At the same time, some probes getting picked off, and he's also trying to bust the natural. A good force field here from Hasu. But at the same time, DIMAGA in full-out aggression here. He is getting Ventral Stacks as well as Overlord speed, so he's going to try to see if he can drop some of those units. But he has some also Banelings at the third tucked away, very far away.
Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Can he actually see that? No, he doesn't. HasuObs could be in a world of hurt right here. Actually, he has no probes. It's like no probes over there.
He's got like 8
oh my god! Ah!
But still, Banelings do a lot of damage. He did manage to pick off 9 total in this game. He did pick off 1. The Zergling is also caught in the middle of the map, as Hasu does end up moving out. +2 will finish momentarily. At the same time, what is DIMAGA doing? Getting +2/+2 Baneling speed and 21 Banelings here, Andre.
This is very larva intensive. He needs a ton of hatcheries actually if he wants to keep up with this. You can see he's saturated all of his bases pretty adequately, but what he has is these mass upgrades. Centrifugal hooks. He has the +2/+2. That's going to spend all of his minerals and gas for a moment, but then it's like a huge surge of stuff. What is he actually spending on? Interesting. DIMAGA's going for Banelings, so it's going to be strictly Baneling drops and Zerglings. I'm not sure. I haven't seen this style work. I haven't seen this style in a very long time in general.
Yeah. I mean, the whole idea is, I mean, he can even just queue up one of those Overlords and drop on it, because +2 with Banelings make them one-shot probes. So he's able to have that as a huge harassment opportunity. And we'll see how DIMAGA chooses to execute, whether or not he's going to confront the army or just try to see if he can surround them and try to go for some flanks in front. But HasuObs, his sentries are spread out pretty far apart, and he's not really controlling the middle of the map. He's sitting back here, but DIMAGA's starting to move out.
I want to just bring a little attention. He actually put a cannon in the top left-hand position. And it's trapping 3 of his probes. He manner pyloned or manner cannoned himself.
Oh, the Phoenix does see the Overlords here in the middle of the map. Of course, that's a hallucinated Phoenix, and DIMAGA's sectioning off 2 Overlords to see if he can drop in the main. Of course, with the sight of the Phoenixes, should be able to kick them off, and DIMAGA not dropping them whatsoever. In fact, he's dropping the main straight onto the Stalkers while going to the 3rd. No force fields are going to let the Zerglings come in here. The Overlords are going to drop the Banes onto the Sentries, but Sentries are pretty well spread out. Oh, the Banelings, will they get the probe? They will. And wow, DIMAGA cleaning up almost every single probe at the natural, but at the same time, the attack at the 3rd has been subsided, so HasuObs will stabilize, but at the cost of 46 workers.
HasuObs really wants a Colossus at this point, a Colossus, an Archon, anything like that that deals with all these Zerglings. He can't rely on these Stalkers, these slow amounts of Sentries and Zealots to actually keep DIMAGA in check. Right now, DIMAGA is just doing whatever he wants, going unchecked, unchallenged, and this is a big problem because now HasuObs, again, is going to be put on the defensive. He can never exercise any advantages with his army composition just because he has to cover so much area.
DIMAGA has 103 Zerglings onto the field.
That's pretty standard.
Which is pretty standard for DIMAGA, but HasuObs still has 50-some probes despite losing 46, I believe it was, and he still has a pretty healthy economy relative to what he actually needs in terms of saturation, so he's not in the worst position possible, but DIMAGA, he's moving out here trying to see if he can catch the Zerglings. Now, these are Blink Stalkers. Will he be able to force field in time? And this time he does, but I think he has to also be careful because DIMAGA still has drops, so he can still be pretty aggressive with these Overlords.
Here's the problem, though. DIMAGA has been very lackadaisical with the Spire and the Infestation Pit. These 2 structures should have been out way before. Because he's not there, his Hive Tech is really, really far behind, and his ability to actually do anything else, whether it be Corruptors or deal with Colossus, even though Colossus aren't out at this point, his ability to deal with things has been really limited, and I feel like that's sort of keeping HasuObs in the game. I think he could have, if he went to Hive Tech, he could have ended it a lot earlier.
Yeah, I mean, look how much gas DIMAGA has. He could challenge OPEC for #1 gas station in the world. At this point, we see DIMAGA collecting a bunch of Overlords as well, so he can fake drops. I like that a lot, and of course, who knows, maybe you can even utilize them for utility, add some creep to make Zerglings more mobile, whatnot, but the whole idea right now is DIMAGA has full map control. HasuObs turning to a mothership. It's very, very important for him to just at least try to wait it out. He's also making a couple Archons. 3 base technically is what you really need to get that death ball quicker, so Hasu's not in the worst position, whatever, and Rodington told me Hasu's one of those Protosses that never gives up, no matter how far
he doesn't. Never give up, never surrender. The Buzz Lightyear Protoss. That's what he is. Mr. HasuObs is getting a mothership, and this is going to help so much. Now, this is the regular HasuObs style. Get a mothership, sit. What do you do after that? Wait until 200 energy. What do you after that? Vortex. Twice. Get some Archons in there. Kill everything. Wait till 200. Vortex. Repeat.
So, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much what HasuObs has option-wise. He has 4 Archons. Now, this is... Remember, we saw how much a mothership can impact the outcome of fight on Ohana in these games against Dark Force. So DIMAGA has to be extremely cautious, and he is donating some of these Overlords, but at the same time gets a good count of the Stalkers and their position. DIMAGA did have 4 bases, but at the same time hasn't really been extending creep that far into the map. It's about 19 minutes of the game, but just starting to hit the halfway mark. So he's been focusing more on controlling the map through Zerglings, but at the same time, you can tell he's stalling for time, waiting for these tech to finally come up that should have been up minutes ago.
Yeah, the Greater Spire is going to be a big turning point for DIMAGA. Once he gets that up, things will be a little bit different in terms of the movement. You can see DIMAGA playing very passive right now, and that's because he has no way to actually deal with the mothership, the onslaught that brings on. HasuObs is going to extend his reach a little bit and try to take this 4th over here. He will do it successfully.
I want to point out that DIMAGA has to be really cautious because he does have Ultras on the way. Now, Ultras are very interesting in ZVP. The fact that he's incorporating them and not Broodlords immediately makes me a little bit hesitant because I haven't seen too much success unless you can land good fungals on the Stalkers and the Ultras can get good position. Well, but Ohana is a more open map, and
I have to stop you right there. You forget about the cats what Overlord is in.
Yeah,
that is a big mind game that you can do.
That's actually true. You know, you're absolutely right. He does have drops and Overlord speed. Oh, he does have Neural. He also has Neural Parasite, but he gets Fortress and all of the units here from DIMAGA as he's sending all of his Overlords. That is not good news.
So how smashed do you think DIMAGA is right now?
He is very, very upset. He's sending his last Ultralisk in. And HasuObs is going to go everything. There it is, the Archon Toilet killing a lot of the Zerglings, but the Stalkers here are the ones that are going to clean up. The DIMAGA supply drops so low at this point, but he remaxes instantly on 7 Ultras and 40, 50 Zerglings. But it's not really going to be enough against this huge army from Hasu.
Ow. That's how I am for DIMAGA. You know, I've been playing Zerg for quite a little bit. And
he's been crying a lot.
I've been crying a lot. And that's the very reason why. I mean, that is so scary. Now, HasuObs, he can do whatever he wants in this position. He needs to be careful. He doesn't want to overextend himself because there is a huge influx of all that time where Zerg have that excess larva. They've been maxed for a while, so they can easily refuel themselves. But after that, it's like, okay, once I kill this next wave, and I'm attacking my opponent as 200 is approaching, that next round is where I can really take advantage and do a big timing if I'm Protoss.
Yeah, you can see HasuObs wants a little bit more Archons, wants a little bit more everything. He did poke out with a couple Stalkers, saw the 4th base, but more importantly, he wanted to save enough energy for another Vortex on the Mothership, like Greator was alluding to. Now, the one thing that hurt the most was DIMAGA lost all his Infestors and the energy it was stockpiled. And he was trying to go for a Neural Parasite on the Mothership, but it didn't actually work out in his favor. He ended up fungling and trying to reveal the units and ended up pushing all of his Infestors straight into the Vortex.
Yeah.
We'll see whether or not he's able to get that engagement. He is maxed out again, but he can't afford a trade like that.
And another Vortex is gearing up here. What is he going to do with it? DIMAGA is at 200.
Oh no, he's gonna go and pile up right there. Isn't enough energy for a Vortex, and he does section off the right side. Now, of course, the Fungal does keep the Stalkers in place. The Ultras are going to town. The Mothership is actually still alive here, but it does finally drop, so no more Cloak despite the Overseers being there. And a lot of units are finally about to pop out, but only 2 Archons here. Oh my goodness, HasuObs actually overextended with not that many Archons there. And as a result, DIMAGA has a pretty temporary opening here before Hasu can gather up again.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. He has no counter to these Ultras. Stalkers are good to an extent, but you need a super number of them. And with those Infestors, the combination is really good. Now, finally, it looks like the Infestors, rather the Ultras, will be cleaned up. I'm not sure. This is really good play from DIMAGA.
Yeah, I mean, look at that, though. The Blink Stalkers forcing the Ultras back. Without the Fungals, those Blink Stalkers can really kite those Ultras for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the biggest complaint about Ultras in general. Not only the clunky, but it's hard to get in position. The Queens trying to get into battle and trying to usher that one poor Infestor to safety. But it looks like the Bouncers and not enough service.
Now, a big problem. You need Infestors. That's a great point. You need Infestors with your Ultras, but you also need Zerglings with your Ultras. If you don't have Zerglings, those are actually the units that deal a ton of damage. They're able to get a good surround, and you can eliminate a lot of the big units with the Ultras. Right now, we can see the Ultras are doing a good, decent damage, but I think as soon as the Mothership comes out here and he gets a little bit of a better army composition, DIMAGA might have a little bit more trouble with dealing, well... Yeah, well, I do think so.
It's hard to say because a couple of things. Hasu is starting to get mined out. He's going down to his 3rd base, or now his only mining base, and he's limited on gas. The big part of the thing right now is that Protoss needs gas to max out. He needs a Mothership, he needs Archons, even Stalkers cost, and especially anything else. So you can see he's down to his last couple hundred, and he has no other source of income other than that. DIMAGA, at the same time, he's pretty much sitting comfortably. He's almost maxed. He's still got several Infestors out, so he can stockpile that energy and keep it up. So Hasu, he's going to have to eventually move out to get another expansion because he can't afford to just sit on here forever.
I know it sounds crazy, but don't be afraid to go Immortals at endgame. A lot of people shy away from that because of the power of fungal growth and the power of Broodlords. But, you know, they're still a good unit, especially when your opponent is going something like Roaches and Ultras. That's like an Immortal... what is that? An Immortal Holiday. No, whatever.
Immortal... I have no idea, Andre. I can't save you.
Paradise! There it is! The Paradise!
Alright.
I was trying to think. I'm like, Beaches... Paradise. That's it. Yeah, it's an Immortal Paradise, man. They do 50 plus 65 damage against everything and anything. So go get those Immortals. Get them out there. Let them do their damage because Colossus, they're good. They're good at killing Zerglings, but not so much at killing Ultras.
Yeah, it's an immortal massaging parlor. Right? Is that how it is? You hear the story,
yes,
right?
I heard the story finally.
Yeah. Wait, no, you were there, right?
The massaging.
Yeah.
Oh, bitter.
But Hasu is taking the 4th expansion here to the top left. Now, again, this is just Hasu style in a nutshell. He just loves taking bases slowly, getting his forces up stronger. You can tell he's really milking every part of his income or his resources as much as he can. But DIMAGA's been maxed for a while now, and he's of course trying to wait for the ability to remax as well. So a couple more investors, but he's moving out here, Corruptors without Broodlords, and looks like he's gonna try to move in finally, but at the same time, no, the probe's getting caught out of position, and this is a really good conking, but again, getting caught in the vortex here as Hasu looks like he's gonna blink back here, but at the same time, not a lot of forces remain for DIMAGA.
Great fight for HasuObs. That's going to put him way ahead. Now all the units inside of this vortex are going to go down. The Broodlords get isolated, and there you have it. The Infestors pop out. He's not able to capitalize on that. He wants to get rid of those Infestors as they just waddle in. What are you doing, Infestors? No, DIMAGA!
DIMAGA losing almost all of his units. Actually, he does lose all of his units, and the supply lead, and DIMAGA saying, he got a lot of FPS lag. He got only 5 FPS there.
I think I need mature language filter.
No, I don't. Actually, I don't have it. So, looks like DIMAGA is gonna call GG here, as
let me go ahead and do that right now.
takes game number 1 after Dennis Schneider plays his patented Protoss versus Zerg.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a potty mouth in the studio.
You mean Mr.
DIMAGA.
Bitter? Oh, right, because we're that's what
you weren't able to see it.
You weren't see it.
But awesome play by HasuObs.
Yes.
I wanted to mention the choice to get that 4th in the mid left-hand position was a much more intelligent choice. You might be like, well, it's spreading yourself thin. The 3rd is all the way over there. Yes, the 3rd's all the way over there, but it's mining out. Now, choosing to take the 4th at that middle left-hand position actually gives you a very close push distance to your opponent. Think about if he takes his 4th all the way in the mid-right-hand position, he really doesn't threaten DIMAGA in any way. That's why DIMAGA felt, hey, I need to attack now because he's right outside my base. He's able to push me really, really fast. I need to do something about this. I need to send waves. I can't give him so much position. So choosing the 4th to go there forced DIMAGA in a bad position, forced his hand, and gave HasuObs the clear win in that last battle.
Yeah, I mean, HasuObs able to really keep the majority of his units alive. That's actually really huge in any Protoss versus Zerg. If you lose everything as Protoss, that's when you're in big trouble. But at least keeping the Stalkers alive and keeping some of his bases and trading is really important in that regard, as he just held on for the win. That game was brought to you by Kingston HyperX, the company responsible for a lot of things in esports, but more importantly, providing technologies such as solid-state drives, memory, and a lot of cool technology. Check out their gear and equipment because I know they're very involved in esports.
Check out their Twitter and Facebook, Kingston HyperX, of course, one of the biggest companies that are just sponsoring esports as much as possible.
Their commercials are great.
They are great.
The one with Machine Man was so funny. That one at IPL. So
definitely check them out. YouTube.com. I don't know what their Kingston HyperX YouTube is, but definitely check them out. They're awesome. Anyway, we're going to go into our second game for HasuObs versus DIMAGA, ladies and gentlemen, after this break. So don't go anywhere. HasuObs is up 1-0. We'll be back with the NASL Season 3.
Welcome back, everyone, to NASL Season 3, Week 1, Division 2, Day number 2, Match number 4. Did I throw out enough of that?
Game number 2, yeah.
Game number 2. Yeah, it was game number 2 between HasuObs versus DIMAGA. We promised you this would be the best match of the day, and that was a very epic 25-minute PvZ.
Yep. Of course, HasuObs taking the 1-0 lead. Now, the map of choice for game number 2 is Odyssey, TPW Odyssey, a newer map into NASL. We had it in the NASTL, but not in the regular NASL seasons. I'm really interested because this is DIMAGA's choice. He really likes this. And I have to say, ZVP on this map is pretty nice.
Yeah, it's pretty comfortable. And, I mean, we talked a lot about what DIMAGA needs to do in game number 2. We'll find out if he's able to execute here on Odyssey. Now again, DIMAGA, he went for kind of an unconventional build, that Baneling drop style, really fast, and tried to see if he can go. He killed a lot of probes, but HasuObs, he still had 50 probes still, so he still had a pretty good economy and was able to really mass up. We'll find out if he's able to do it, as HasuObs is your blue Protoss here in the top left corner from Mouse Sports CC. And in the bottom right, we do see DIMAGA from MTW, the red Zerg. And it is his map choice. What can we expect to see on this map?
You know, ZVP on this map, it's kind of interesting. There's a lot of different attack paths. It's a very open map, but at the same time, you have the ability at the later stages of the game to kind of bottle things off. You can see the ramps over here. These are pretty big maps, or excuse me, pretty big ramps in the beginning of the game, but as you move towards the end of the game, sentries become a lot easier to make. You can force field easily. Not only that, the excessive amounts of Colossus Fire can just spray so much damage. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with it, but I think DIMAGA wants to take it in the mid-game. That's where I think Zerg is really powerful. The openness of the natural and the third, along with the ability to drop at the main. There's a lot of different movement plays you can do against Protoss.
Yeah, so we'll have to see if that's actually what they incorporate into their style of play. In the meantime, we do see an early scout here from Hasu. Again, it's important to get that early scout in just to see if you can have that flexibility to go Nexus first. And Hasu looks like he's gearing up for that, although he did save up some money and then drop the Forge anyways. So again, going for more of the safer play here.
Yeah, a lot of Protosters would opt to do the Nexus first.
Yeah.
But, well, especially with HasuObs putting up the pylons. You put up the pylons and it basically says your Zerglings need to commit to defending these. If you don't defend them, well, I can easily just wall off and I'm fine. I can wait until my cannons pop up. It's good to go. And now you have no expansion, nor do you have any, harass on me. So it is super safe by HasuObs, but we'll see how he actually plays this out. He's going to put down his Nexus before any cannons and block off this natural.
Yeah, and the question is, will HasuObs be able to intercept any attempt to take a third base? Sometimes Zergs just even skip the natural and just take their third immediately and then take their natural expansion as the game progresses. But for now, HasuObs just content with harassing a lot. Looks like he is trying to see if he can intercept the drone. No, he actually lets it run by him. Oh, a little bit of a misstep there, as he would have been able to delay the third.
Oh, maybe he does.
DIMAGA's going to do it. Oh, man. Ooh.
DIMAGA, what are you doing?
Yikes. Yeah, that could have been really easy there, but as a result, he has to live through even more pain and heartache.
Yeah, it won't be too much. It's just a couple of seconds here.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 minutes is still a great time to get your third base going, so I'm pretty sure he's fine. HasuObs is just going to simply take his Nexus, put down a cannon, and then from there just macro up. I think we'll be seeing a very similar build to last time. No two-base all-ins from HasuObs at all.
Yeah, I mean, Hasu
Knock on
taking
wood.
double
Knock on
gases. Oh, knock on wood. Now, it's interesting because Hasu, he doesn't play exactly conventional in terms of the opening. There's very small things he do differently, like the first gas he used, he doesn't use it for +1. He did a very delayed +1, in fact. And he opted to get Hallucination right after Warp Gate instead of getting that +1, which was really cool to see incorporation of that. So Hasu, he's just going to play his game, and that's anything we've seen throughout the series. No matter what, he's going to play it slow, play it passive. And DIMAGA, how is he going to try to respond to it? This time, he is going to start putting his drones back on gas immediately, but will he drop that Roach Warren at 6.5 minutes and start maxing out? Will he try to get that Stefano style, or will he go again for that massive Ling style that we saw last game?
I'm not sure. There's a lot of things that DIMAGA can do. It's really interesting that he's mining gas this early. Normally we don't have gas up nearly this early. Just drone saturate all your bases, rely on slow Zerglings to deal with any Zealots, even if they are +1 Zealots, and go from there. But no, none of that from here on out. I think DIMAGA should just be playing to the player. He knows his opponent is super macro intensive, so just drone up as much as possible. Don't worry about any pushes, and just start maxing out, just as Stefano did, 11 minutes. That's a pretty impressive max out timing.
Speed again. First 100 gas
wow.
harvested from DIMAGA.
Look at that, a second gas too.
Another second gas, wow. So we'll see whether or not DIMAGA chooses to follow up. Maybe he just felt like he could have executed better, but so far the same opening as he did in game number 1. Meanwhile, Hasu starting to chrono boost out that Warp Gate as well as get his Sentry, and we'll see how Hasu chooses to transition. Now the third is a little bit harder to take on this map because of the nature of things. It's not neat as compact as Ohana, where you can just kind of bounce between bases back and forth. Your exit to your natural is also the entrance to your third, so it's going to be a little bit harder for Hasu if he wants to go further.
The one thing I do have to mention is that this third is easy to defend easy to attack if you're the Protoss player. I guess I should be looking here. You can see it's pretty enclosed, right? If I attack through here, it's very easy to force field off. You just waste 3 or 4, you can get great position. So it forces the Zerg to actually battle out either all the way out in the middle of the map or all the way back at the hatchery. That sometimes is not the best place for Zergs to actually battle out, so they need to really, really power off this. Of course, it is kind of a big map, so they do have the capacity to do so.
Yeah, it's interesting that you pointed out, because isn't it easier to attack down a map than it is attacking up because of the mini-map access? I think that was something like Artosis was pointing out one time. Attacking down a map is actually easier, just for the convenience, because you'll be clicking around here and you don't have to do that versus clicking and scrolling up and then moving down. So it's just an interesting thing I was just trying to point out. I don't know. He's like looking back for across the screen.
I'm just thinking about it right now, because actually me being a caster, I've incorporated the middle click.
Oh, you've been scrolling with middle click?
I do scroll sometimes with middle click. It's actually really convenient because I just slide my finger down. So like that.
Hasu's moving out for a really fast third, 9 minutes. And of course, DIMAGA did see that with his Overlord. Now the question is, how will he choose to react? He is still getting this Baneling Dust and the Lair, so very similar build to what he did last game. In fact, down to almost the exact same thing, except this time he has 72 drones instead of 55.
That's a lot more.
Yes.
A lot more, and he's going for that 4th hatchery at his 3rd base. So I like where DIMAGA's at, actually. I think he's in a great position. He's playing towards the player, not necessarily the position, but the player. He knows exactly what HasuObs is normally capable of. Look, HasuObs is more than happy to oblige. He's saying, let's go to endgame. Let's just do it. You can have your little advantage in the beginning, but I outplayed you last game. I'm going to outplay you this game.
Ooh. So, you know, DIMAGA trying to see if he can go for that style. Love the Tuck Zealot in the corner of that watchtower to make sure Zerglings can't get an easy surround. At the same time, the Zerglings try to see if they can run by the 3rd to no avail. And HasuObs, again, looks like he is going to hallucinate the Phoenix, trying to get a good scout, but he's just going to find the same exact thing as he did last game. The question is, I think he wasn't necessarily prepared for the Baneling drops, and hopefully this time he'll be much more prepared.
We'll see, as the Zerglings are just milling around the middle of the map. We don't have too many more Harvesters coming out from DIMAGA, so all those Zerglings, or actually, rather, all that larva is going to be committed to Zerglings. You can see a huge amount of Zerglings popping out into the map. What does he actually do with that? That's the big question. What do you do with Zerglings? They're so brittle. They're so, you know, easy to kill. Look at this.
Fragile. Yeah, they got trapped by a watchtower. Nice little dual force field to trap a lot. Oh, but at the same time, DIMAGA's moving out with his units, trying to see if he can catch the Stalkers and Sentries. He's going to try to see if he can go for the flank immediately and then push to the front. The Banelings also are trying to bait the force field so he can go from behind. Hasu does get it, but a couple of Banelings get force fielded in, or do they?
I don't know if they're in range to actually kill those sentries.
Tight, but nice blink back forward, but he's losing all of his sentries.
Oh, wow.
He lost all of his sentries. What a crazy engagement there. Now DIMAGA senses an opening. He's trying to see if he can catch the Stalkers, but a blink back does force the choke there. Zealots are left to die, but at the same time, DIMAGA managed to catch the important units down with the sentries.
And there goes down everything. Blink is up. He's going to blink back just a little bit, but the sentries are such a critical unit to keep, and he's losing every single one of them. That's a big problem. Now only Stalkers are being warped in at this point. But DIMAGA, unfortunately for him, he hasn't been macroing so well. 2,000 minerals, and that's the biggest problem with doing Zergling builds. I mean, it's so hard. You need probably around 2.5 hatcheries for every expansion that you have just to spend correctly with your Zerglings, and you don't have the capacity to do that sometimes. DIMAGA not keeping up with all this. A huge round of Banelings coming out here. He's going to do massive damage against his 3rd.
35 Banelings. That's enough to take out 3 gateways and 2 cannons in a pylon, don't you think?
Easily.
But we do see +2 finishing out here for Hasu, but again, that's not going to be enough really to hold off, especially with no force fields. If you could force field the 3rd, it would have been good, but he's keeping on sentries at his natural. And, you know, House has actually been probing so hard, 72 to 69, as he does have the economic advantage. Oh, but drop, and the Overlord speed's about to finish. Or did finish. +2 is about to finish.
Uh-oh.
Andre, this can do a lot of
Sweet merciful
damage.
mother of crap. What does he actually do with this? He's not going to go for the gateways. Oh! Big blink on top of those Overlords. He's going to take out a couple of them, but the Banelings will drop out a little bit here and there. You can see the Stalkers taking massive damage, and now finally the Banelings are getting over towards those probes. The Zerglings streaming in, and this is going to be very difficult as the natural, actually the main, is going to be under attack by a Zergling run by.
Wow, I mean, I was so taken aback by how Haas was able to deal with that. Blinking forward and taking out those Overlords. Another round of force field to try to trap some Zerglings, but there are a lot here from DIMAGA, and he is going to try to take out the rest of the Sentry. Hasu now down to 2 Zealots, 2 Stalkers, 2 Sentries. Not really much to defend against the onslaught of Zerglings, as 20 are being pumped out at a time. Laga looks like he's finally breaking defenses at the 3rd, and Hasu is forced to retreat.
HasuObs is under so much threat right here, and not only that, we have the Hive coming out for DIMAGA, so adding insult to injury, kicking his opponent when he's down. There it is, GG. Wow, HasuObs will not be able to continue on in this series.
Yeah, so DIMAGA looks like he is going to take game number 2. And, wow, even out the series and never say die. DIMAGA, we were saying this series would have went 2-1.
Yes.
And it could have gone either way. And DIMAGA showing that style could work. He just needed a little bit more. You need a second try.
Exactly. Well, that map helped out quite a bit. I mean, let's be honest. The sentry placement is one of the most interesting things to actually talk about, I think.
Yes.
Because having all of those units just spread out all over the place. Now, I do want to say HasuObs did mismicro that a little bit. Losing all those sentries in the middle of the map, or close to his side of the map, I should say, was the big problem. You can't have that happen. But after that, it's like, where does he place his sentries? He has no good place to place them. The natural, the 3rd, those are 2 very big open places that he has to defend. Not only that, the main. He has to be careful about that main because it can get dropped, as I said, really nicely. So DIMAGA obviously utilized all of those things, the whole plethora of options he had, and just really took it to him.
SAT word. What did you score on your SATs, Andre?
It was pretty bad.
Really?
Well,
you also were like a math major and an actuary, like.
Yeah. Well, it was 1320.
That's pretty good.
It was okay. Well, I do have to mention, I was on the 1600 scale.
Right, you were
not the 2400 scale.
That was back in so long ago, man.
It was okay.
So old school.
It was all right.
We'll see whether or not HasuObs can come back and swing the series back in his favor, or will DIMAGA complete the comeback? We want to thank iBuyPower for that game number 2, as iBuyPower basically supplying a lot of ability to even run our computers. I love iBuyPower.
They're the computer supplier here at the NASL. Yeah, they're pretty baller. Computer supplier here at the NASL. Thank you so much to them, but we're going to run to a short commercial break. When we're back, the conclusion of this series is about to go down. DIMAGA versus HasuObs. Don't go anywhere. It is Mao CC HasuObs against MTW DIMAGA. Both these players are 1-1 apiece, and we have our last game on Daybreak.
All good things must come to an end. The series has been very epic. In the top right, we have the player who's been showing very strong passive play, but he did get out-thunked there trying to defend his 3rd. He is Dennis Schneider, also known as HasuObs from Mouse Sports, as the Blue Protoss.
In the bottom left-hand position as the Red Zerg, who has shown a very unorthodox style of ZVP. He is none other than Dima Flipchuck, aka MTW DIMAGA.
Who looks like Carmack. Actually, did you ever see that video of Carmack trolling people?
I have.
I love Carmack, man. He's great. And it's funny because DIMAGA and Carmack could both kick our butts. Because they're... Well, maybe not you, but me.
You underestimate my power.
I do. Actually, for those of you who don't know, Andre actually is like a black belt with red stripes and purple stars in judo.
Yeah, might be.
Something like that. I always stop listening as soon as he starts saying, I used to be this.
I did get promoted from white belt to brown belt in 2 months.
I was Masters League Jiu-Jitsu, so get out of here. And get out. Of course, I've never actually really done that, but we do see that Hasu is scouting DIMAGA, and we'll see how he wrestles against DIMAGA style. You like what I did there? Like I did there? He looks like we'll see how he fights against the Zergling Baneling style that DIMAGA's been showing in the DVP. What do you think of this right now? The way he's been showing it in this series?
I'm not sure. You know, okay, so DIMAGA, he's been doing this awkward style of ZVP. I think he's been trying to abuse HasuObs the second game. That's what was most apparent. I mean, going up to 72 drones was probably the instant tell that, hey, DIMAGA is just abusing HasuObs. And I think that's why HasuObs is trying to re-abuse. No, I'm sorry. Again, a Forge first. I thought for sure HasuObs was going for the Nexus versus this game. Okay, so...
He's just doing the same thing every single time. HasuObs cannot be altered, cannot be deterred. He's just going to do exactly the same thing every time. And that's cool because Hasu, I mean, this is how he reacts. And this makes me feel so justified because you were yelling at me because I was like, oh, I'm going to go Forge. Like, why go Forge first, man? You can go Nexus first.
Exactly.
But
why?
it's interesting because he's following it up with a gateway and not a cannon this time. And he's also going to try to see if he can block the third yet again. So the same 3 openings, except this time Hasu is getting an earlier gateway.
But it's just the simple fact of why not go for the fast Nexus? It's just like a free opportunity, man. He's going to block the third, but it's not going to be up for much longer because that pylon gets canceled. Of course, the 4 Zerglings, if you guys don't know at home, 4 Zerglings are the required amount of Zerglings you need to do enough DPS to take down a pylon before, you know, it can build fast enough, you know, so it stays up there for a long period of time. So always get 4 Zerglings whenever this beginning game ZVP is around. But you know, HasuObs just can go the complete standard route.
Yeah.
This is really interesting. I would think that he changes it up a little bit. We're playing a little bit more greedy, getting maybe a +1, which is a possibility, but still, I feel like DIMAGA is just going to abuse his opponent again, get that quick 72 drones, maybe not so quick, but as quick as possible, get 72 drones, and then just Zerglings, Banelings, drop, everything possible.
You know, I'm just gonna say that I think HasuObs is gonna stick to the same thing he did. He's saving up his first 100 gas, same exact way as he did in game number 1, where he gets Warp Gate and Sentry. So, looks like it's gonna be the same thing for games 1 through 3 from Hasu. Now the question is whether DIMAGA is gonna use his first 100 gas on speed, or is he gonna try to do something else, like maybe get a fast lead?
I don't think so. I think he will go speed. He's favored this Zergling style, the double upgrades +1/1, and I don't think anything can really change him, but as I say that, he's mining more than 100. Oh, there it goes.
There it is. Okay.
He was clicking on that spawning pool.
Interesting.
So, yeah, we'll have the same exact thing coming out from him. One minor adjustment I would say for DIMAGA is if you're going 72 drones, get 3 macro hatches instead of only 1. It sounds crazy, but it's necessary.
Well, because the whole idea of Zerglings and Banelings is that they're so cheap, at least on the mineral side.
Yes.
And so you have an influx of minerals, and you don't have enough larvae to spend. So the idea is having those macro hatcheries. You know, you'd be surprised, but Andre's been spending a lot of time playing Zerg, and he's been really able to dive into that.
Well, not only have I been playing, I've been analyzing.
He's been losing a lot of Zerg, too.
Hey, I've been analyzing tons of players. Sheth, Stefano. I've been analyzing DIMAGA, of course. I've been seeing these styles. I actually haven't seen this style, him do this style in a little bit, but
I like how Hasu's putting his 3 additional gateways that he's been doing all series. You see how it's hugging the side of his just above his main base, and the reason why is because the Overlord usually comes at an angle of where the pylon is, right outside of his main, and the idea is he's going to be able to hide it for as long as possible, giving potential to maybe even killing the Overlord. And so Hasu, I just like that nice little touch there.
Definitely. Well, it's interesting. We do have a pylon coming out into the middle of the map. It looks like this one probe is just milling around. HasuObs changing things up.
Oh, wow. He's changing up things a lot. You know, we had completely ignored the fact that he actually did not get a sentry. He had the gas, but he actually went for a stalker. Now he's piled a lot of resources. In fact, he's saving up quite a bit of gas as well. We see DIMAGA going for the Baneling Nest, but he's trying to get the surround on the Zealot. The Stalker does manage to get inside the choke, but killing off these units here for basically very, very cheap units.
Yeah, and off of this, DIMAGA should be able to drone up quite a bit. That's a lot of momentum that you lose when you're Protoss. You need to keep the pressure on. As soon as it stops, you know at that point, Protoss really can't do a lot because they need to find a new foundation, a new starting point, a new place where you can start warping in units safely. You don't have that potential anymore, so we're going to see HasuObs just fall back quite a bit. You can see the robotics facility goes down, and he's going to put down Twilight Council as well. So he's just going straight up macro. That sucks because DIMAGA, let's look at that income tab. 54 harvesters. I'm expecting a ton more drones coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, he just hopped up to 64, and he's still making more drones. In the process, we see Hasu finally starting to burn a lot of that gas, but the idea is he didn't get those sentries first. He got them later, so he doesn't have a lot of time invested in the sentry, so he doesn't have the stockpile of energy that he's used to having. In fact, he's feeling so uncomfortable, he's putting a second cannon down just in case he needs it. Now, he is getting Blink, Hallucination for scouting purposes, as well as +2, so he's going to be sitting back for a while as per standard Hasu play. But DIMAGA at the same time, he's finishing up +1/+1 and starting Vengeful Sacks.
So we're going to see the same type of drop play. I actually really like that drop play.
I like it.
A lot of the drop play that we used to see just went out. I was actually talking to Golden Light about this, and he was saying, well, it's so much micro, it's hard to macro at the same time, and you lose one fight and all your overlords are gone. Protoss have a huge momentum shift where they just take control, and a lot of times you lose off of that. And
you can
it's
speak
great.
Korean now?
Well, that's no. He did explain that to me. Of course,
Oh, okay.
I'm kind of
He's
translating a little
yeah.
bit more for him. But yeah, I mean, Golden said that's why he doesn't do that as much. But DIMAGA is showing that is still a very capable style. We're going to see him do some multi-pronged aggression.
Ooh, at the third, and the Natural's trying to see if he can go for a surround. Oh, he does manage to force the force fields back again, but these Banelings try to see if they can catch probes, but there's actually nothing here. He's just going to go, and actually no cancel at all because the Banes managed to take it out. The Zerglings do get cleaned up, but DIMAGA got what he wanted, which is the force cancel. I guess not even the cancel, the force third is now not forced. I meant to say something there, but...
Denying the third. Yeah, denying the third.
Yeah.
See, these Banelings are getting centrifugal hooks. He has +2/+2 being researched, and Pneumatized Carapace has just been researched, so that is the Overlord speed. He will be able to do some drops. That'll be very helpful because a lot of times, this is how it used to be. Sentries were really good, but how you counter that, instead of Infestors, it was drops, Baneling drops. You just crash onto them, and they get devastated. There's nowhere to run. They're too slow. Overlords are able to do a lot of damage. Since then, I mean, obviously, as I was saying, it's changed quite a bit. We'll see if he's able to get some good hits with those Baneling drops.
Yeah, DIMAGA does have that fourth base as his macro hatchery for now, waiting for +2/+2. Centrifugal hooks did just finish as well, so he can go for that timing right now. And Hasu doesn't even really have anything defending that third other than a couple cannons. Fortunately for them, they are targeting down the right buildings, but the Zergling trying to go for a surround did not manage to get anything, as Hasu looks like he's worried about defending his natural, but the Zerglings do end up getting around, and a couple of force fields, actually lots of force fields put out here haphazardly. And Hasu, he looks like he will save it, but the Banes are trying to see if they can get in. But the force fields do block it out. A great play here. The Overlord trying to come from behind does get sniped as well. So DIMAGA coming from all different angles, but Hasu managed to save everything while taking minimal losses.
Unfortunate for DIMAGA, he really blundered out there. And because that HasuObs is able to equalize a little bit, you can see those supply counts even out quite a bit now. Zerglings aren't really a great investment in terms of supply. It's actually really hard to keep up with your opponent, so that's why we see that a lot of the times. The other big problem about going Zergling Banelings, you have no meat to the army. All these trades are just that, trades. You're always going to lose all your Zerglings. They're not cost efficient in that manner, so you have to make sure you are macroing up quite a bit. You can see the fourth base has been taken in the top left-hand corner. We're also going to see multi-drops coming out from DIMAGA.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Hasu now has Archons, so Archons are a great sponge for Baneling damage, and DIMAGA has to be really cautious with how he does this, especially because Hasu, again, he's been such a big proponent of probing really hard. He's at 70 probes on 3-base economy, so he is sitting very nicely. DIMAGA moving into the natural here, and will DIMAGA try to see if he can drop directly on the army? He also has a lot of Zerglings postured outside the third here, Andre.
There we go, and the force fields start out. Now he should be blinking all of his units away. There it is, and the Archons will take most of the damage. Great force field before all of those sentries do, in fact, die out. The third is okay. It looks like those Zerglings from the bottom are going to sweep in and do nothing. Look at that, HasuObs cleans everything up.
The third, no! A lot of Zerglings, a lot of Banelings rather, detonating on those probes and killing a lot. So a great play there from DIMAGA to kind of recover his basically not doing any damage really to the army other than killing some sentries, but Hasu still seems to be pretty intact. He's still at 60 probes despite losing 19, and man, DIMAGA still not letting up with his aggression. His Greater Spire's on the way because during this whole time he was teching the Hive, getting up his Infestation Pit so he can get those upgrades as well. And right now he's working on +3/+3 Adrenal Glands, but how much longer can he keep this up? Hasu seems to be taking less and less damage aside from that one drop of Banelings.
Yeah, and probes are pretty inexpensive. The big units that HasuObs wants to save are the Archons, and the Stalkers. If he can keep those alive, he's able to deal with all the Zerg arsenal that they're capable of doing. You can see, oh, look at this. DIMAGA is actually going to be spotted over here. This one Zealot spots out those Banelings being merged, but I don't think this one Overlord will be able to connect, seeing as there's Stalkers right outside.
It just takes one, man. Banelings with +2 just basically kill probes in one shot. It only takes one time.
One time.
One shot. One opportunity. Sees everything the Banelings ever wanted.
All right. Well, Frodan, it looks like DIMAGA is just setting up, gearing up for those Broodlords. He has 6 Corruptors out in the field. He's just waiting also for his upgrades to kick in. The +3/+3, of course, the Adrenal Glands are already finished. HasuObs, where does he actually go from here? I mean, you are the Protest player. What is he gunning for? I mean, what are the units he wants?
He's getting that Fleet Beacon right now. He needs a Mothership. If you see lots of Zerglings and Banelings, especially if they're dropping, you need a way to stop it. An easy way is to have the Overlords clumped up, and then you have like the Archons really take care of it. Also, Blink is really important. He has to be really cautious for Fungals, because if Fungals land on the Stalkers, but even though he doesn't know that any Infestors are out, but the idea is he has to be really cautious about what DIMAGA's transitioning, because he knows DIMAGA's not being aggressive, so he has to be transitioning in some way, some form, and the choice this time from DIMAGA is Broodlords. He has 6 Infestors out onto the field, +3/+3 about to finish as well, so DIMAGA's lining up a very sick timing here if he can hit before that Mothership comes out.
The question is, can HasuObs get the required army composition to deal with this 200-200 army? Now, he will be pressing out. I don't know if I'm a big fan of having all of these Broodlords out with just Zerglings accompanying. Yes, he does have Infestors and Banelings, but still, these Zerglings aren't nearly as effective as you would think in terms of just supply. I would much rather have a ton of Corruptors, a ton of Broodlords as well, additional Broodlords, I should say. But no, he's going it with just Zerglings, and we'll see if he's able to do any damage. These gateways are now becoming a hindrance.
Yeah, I mean, the Broodlords can rain down fire. And keep in mind, even if the Mothership comes out, that doesn't mean Hasu's safe. He has to wait for Vortex energy to come up. And we do see that Hasu's moving down his ramp. Let's see if he can go for a flank there. But Hasu, I mean, DIMAGA does see it though, right? He should know where his army is.
Yes, and it looks like HasuObs, is he going to go for a counterattack? No, he's not. He's going to swing back around. He has to save this third. That's 100%. He has to save the third. Drop in the top left of the main base coming in here. Don't think he'll be able to connect on anything. Nope. Down it goes.
Well, he is trying to expand out to the center of the map, and keep in mind, the way the expansions work is that it has full mineral base there, so it's not reduced at all. The Mothership is now arriving to the battle. Fungal lands on a huge amount of Stalkers there, but no reinforcement from there, just another Fungal, as we do see the Brewers finally entering the battle. This is very tense. DIMAGA realizes, oh, there's a Mothership out. He knows how much energy it has as well, and wow, it does land another Fungal, but does he have enough energy to Vortex? He still needs 15 seconds here.
Yes, if he can keep that Mothership alive, he'll be in a great position. It looks like these Broodlords are going to town on all these units. Can he get the Mothership? Oh my god, it's just forever. It feels like an eternity until that Mothership is able to Vortex. Does he have... No, he doesn't have Neural Parasite, so not to worry.
He's bundling all his Broodlords. He's trying to separate some of them out. He realizes right now the energy is now. He does get 3 Broodlords sucked up here, but the Roach is coming for a flank. The blink forward means that the Banelings can now hit the Stalkers, as Hasu isn't cutting at all. The Fungal on the Stalkers. Hasu's supply now is dropped below 100, now in the 70s. DIMAGA still staying strong. Broodlords arrive back to the battlefield, but there's only 2 Archons, and with a brief explosion, Hasu, the only thing left back are a couple Stalkers and the Mothership.
And HasuObs says, "Grats,
wow,
GG." And DIMAGA's going to take it 2-1, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations to him. You can see the silhouette of DIMAGA. Pretty handsome. But man, was that a great game. Such a dashing silhouette. Great game coming out from Mr. DIMAGA. I do have to say, at that end, HasuObs was not able to refuel because there was a big Baneling explosion at the natural. Banelings killed all the probes there.
Good catch.
So, you know, obviously you can't fuel your army. You can't do anything. DIMAGA's going to keep going in with those waves and waves and waves.
That's actually impressive.
Like that style, the Zergling Baneling style, really cool style from DIMAGA.
Yeah, I didn't even catch that. DIMAGA was microing his army, fungling everything, moving his Broodlords, splitting them, making roaches and sending them, injecting, spreading his creep, and dropping Banelings. DIMAGA, he was actually playing at an incredible amount of APM. I think it was around 400 during the actual battle. So crazy, crazy play out of DIMAGA. Unfortunately, we don't have an interview with him. We know you guys have been loving that so far. But we can definitely try to see if we can catch him next time. We will try to see if we can get him one time live for an actual play so we can interview him.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it. A big thanks to GameMinder for that game. They are one of our sponsors. Go check them out on Twitter and Facebook. But that being said, congratulations to DIMAGA, 2-1 win for him. And that actually concludes the day. So we're going to go to a short break, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, we have some closing words and a couple of announcements. So don't go anywhere, and NASL will be back after this.